really, it's a lot of removal, a lot of card find, even a couple unburial rights.
So and blue's like more of a splash in this deck,
well,
I guess.
Plays Revelation.
Yeah, that's true.
It also does have the Reckoner Harvest Pyre combo in it.
Okay, he's got one Harvest Pyre.
One Harvest Pyre.
So this is just like, yeah, this is, I mean, 4-color control is an apt way to name this deck, and that's exactly what it is. It has like all the colors of the rainbow here. This is Glacial Fortress is going to start things here for George.
Yeah, I mean, his mana base is, you know, all dual lands, as you'd come to expect here.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being anything else. And he does have 25 lands, so he's got plenty of lands to actually draw to as he's going to play a Dragon Skull Summit, so he already has, in theory, all of his colors right now.
So important to note, he does not play any counter magic, he just plays removal. So in that sense, you know, he has certainly enough powerful cards to try to go late with the Reanimator deck, but he can't, if the Reanimator deck starts playing something like a Craterhoof Behemoth, that's going to be really hard for George to counter.
Yeah. So now we see an Isolated Chapel into play tapped. So here's a Cavern of Souls from Aaron. We'll figure out what that's naming. My guess?
Angel?
I'm going to guess Angel. And Avacyn's Pilgrim. And I was wrong. It's naming Beast.
All right, so foretelling of a possible Thragtusk next turn.
I'm taking a look at Aaron's deck list here as George is going to take his turn. No Craterhoof Behemoths this go around.
That's got to be pretty good for George, actually.
Yeah, has to be pretty happy about that, as he does have, of course, Angel Serenity, Thragtusk, 3 copies of Acidic Slime. He's got the two Sin Collector, 2 Fiend Hunter split. So this is very, very close to the Brian Brondo and Chris Van Meter list.
The old Glacial Fortress and a Dragon Skull Summit into Isolated Chapel, Boros Reckoner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Each of those lands makes either white or red.
Yeah, this is standard where anything can happen. So Aaron draws his card for the turn. He does have 5 mana, and now, oh boy.
That card seems really well positioned against George's deck.
Acidic Slime is here. It is slime time, and it's going to take care of a Dragon Skull Summit, and we already can see a Restoration Angel, I think, in Aaron's hand right now as well, so things get ugly.
Is that an Angel or a Fiend Hunter?
There's a Fiend Hunter there for sure, and I think there's an Angel too. He's going through his hand pretty quickly, as Boros Reckoner is going to come across
the
here in the
danger
red
of
zone.
that attack there is if Angel is that it dares Aaron to have an Unburial Rights. If Aaron has an Unburial Rights, that attack is really scary.
Yeah.
And now cut off from red mana, George does have a Supreme Verdict. It looks like another Boros Reckoner, but really he needs to just continue to hit his land drops. It looks like he has I don't really like, he's end-stepping his Forbidden Alchemy. I almost want to do it main phase just to hit my land drop.
Yeah, and especially like if you're going to, as you see a Cavern of Souls here, if you're going to represent counter magic, like first of all, he's going to cast the spells anyway.
Second of all, he already's played a Cavern of Souls on Beast. So
yeah.
If I'm Aaron, I'm just like, okay, well, I will throw my Thragtusk into this. Fine, counter it.
Yeah, so I mean, representing counter magic here instead of forbidding alchemy in his main phase and trying to hit his land drop, it is a bit of a misstep here as Angel is being named on this second Cavern of Souls. And here's your forbidden alchemy. And are we going to see one response?
Are we on end step here?
Yeah, it looks like we're on end step.
And he does hit 2 Glacial Fortresses, and because that wasn't done last turn, that's going to come into play. Well, no, sorry, he has the Godless Shrine, so that should still come into play untapped.
And there's 2 copies of Forbidden Alchemy and a Glacial Fortress go away. Yeah, and Aaron says, "Hold on, just a minute. I wanted to see what you were going to take with it."
Want to blow up another one of your lands.
Mm-hmm. You're going to take care of Glacial Fortress.
Now, interesting, he chooses to knock him off blue. He also could have taken... I kind of like taking the Godless Shrine to knock him off of untapped mana, because he already has shown that he's going to have another blue source.
Yep. I like that as well.
And here's the punishment for not playing that land last turn, is that George drew a land this turn, but he'll only be at 3 instead of the possible 4 he could have been at.
And so now also, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind too is Restoration Angel is standing tall here, ready to get into a fight with a Boros Reckoner, I would believe. I think if Boros Reckoner does come in here, we're probably going to see Restoration Angel jump in front of the old Minotaur Wizard. And you see George just really kind of taking his time on what land he wants to play, because it looks like he drew an Isolated Chapel for the turn too. So do I expose my blue source right now, because it can be Acidic Slimed, or do I play another black-white one? And here comes that Boros Reckoner.
Yeah, it'll go ahead and trade with Restoration Angel here, or with Acidic Slime. I suppose it's George's decision which one he wants to get.
Yeah. But this also puts him to the test, as you said. Like, I guess it's bad shape either way if he has Burial Rights.
If he has Burial Rights, you're probably just, you're probably dead. Aaron didn't make the block last turn, so you kind of have to hope that he just doesn't have it.
Yeah, because whichever guy Reckoner shoots Like, it's bad. I mean, if Slime dies, you just get it back with the burial rites. If Angel dies, you get it back with the burial rites and blink the Slime. So here comes the acidic Slime.
Aaron's hand looks to be double Thragtusk, Fiend Hunter, Sever the Bloodline.
Yep.
Which really makes him the aggressor here.
It might be triple Thragtusk, actually.
Ooh, all right.
Either way, the first one's going to come down now. Aaron's going to move up to 22, and that is uncounterable, again, because of Cavernous Souls, but just black-white man over there for Georgia, so not a big deal.
All right. So, and I think he's hiding, George Nguyen right now is hiding his blue-white source because he does have a Supreme Verdict in hand. Granted, I'm not sure I want to cast Supreme Verdict on this board, but he either way wants to hang on to the option.
So Boris Reckoner is going to come across here. It's going to be a McNeely 3, going to put him down to 19. But yeah, as you said, he's holding on to it so he doesn't have to cast Supreme Verdict, but Supreme Verdict is just a difficult card to cast right now anyway, again, because of Thragtusk. Like, he does get a quote-unquote 3 for 2 here, but it's just not
like
a very
a 2
good...
for 2.
Yeah. 2.5 for 2.
Yeah. It does knock Aaron off of mana, so we're one turn, you know, in case he has an Angel of Serenity, now Aaron has to draw 2 lands to cast it.
Woodland Cemetery, the draw here. In for 3 comes the Thragtusk. And as you do see Aaron kind of survey his graveyard here, he's just going to cast another 5/3, gain 5 life.
I think you were right that he has yet a third Thragtusk in his hand.
A small, I kind of like the survey of the graveyard. It's like kind of like a small thing. Like I might have an Unburial Rites here, but I think if he had Unburial Rites, he would have cast it on Acidic.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he has one, but the thing is, it doesn't really affect George's decisions. Yeah. If he has an Unburial Rites, you just kind of shrug and say, "Well, that's pretty bad for me."
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have a way to meaningfully interact with it. And he has drawn, it looks like, a red land of some sort, or either another Boros Reckoner, one of the two. It's a Sacred Foundry, right?
A new Art Sacred Foundry. It looks like it's going to come into play tapped here potentially. He also has an Olivia Valderin in his hand right now as well, but we know, of course, Matthias, that there's both a Fiend Hunter and a Sever the Bloodline at the ready for that.
Right. So, I think if you're George, he's probably considering playing the Olivia. Well, he can't because he put them to play tapped.
Yep.
So
another verdict, okay.
That's really just a 1-for-1 with Thragtusk.
Can still just keep forcing through damage as Angel of Serenity is the draw here for McNeely this turn. In comes the Beast Token, gonna knock Nguyen down to 12, and I think we're gonna see that third Thragtusk. Yes, we are, up to 29. It does just pass the turn back. So Nguyen, it's a bit of a case of deja vu.
Yeah. Yet another Thragtusk, and now we do see Aaron has drawn the Angel of Serenity, so it's not like there are 3 Thragtusks potentially in the graveyard or anything. There is no main deck answer to Angel of Serenity from George outside of his own Angel of Serenities.
Yeah, certainly nothing clean to get the job done. I mean, he does have 4 Supreme Verdicts, which is just not even close to a clean answer, and then 2 Dreadbores, which again, that's just a giant meh.
Right, the real question is, how does he stop Aaron from just casting more and more Thragtusks? And there's not an easy answer to that. I suppose stealing the Angels of Serenity with Olivia is his best out.
Yeah.
But that's unlikely to happen because of the Fiend Hunter and Sever in Aaron's hand.
Arbor Elf the draw here for Aaron this turn. Again, does have the Sever, the Fiend Hunter, and the Angel of Serenity over there. So my thought is that we'll probably see him take care of Olivia Valderin in some way between his 2 options, and then push through for 8 points of damage to put Nguyen down to 4. But we'll see how he wants to play his turn out.
Yeah.
It's just a very difficult situation to be in if you're Nguyen, because Acidic Slime is like the nightmare card for his deck.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Junk is, typically a control deck would be how you would beat Junk, but the fact that they're playing cards like Slimes, and then the Angel loop over the top makes their control matchup, winnable.
Yeah. I mean, very winnable.
Yeah.
Is the scary part. As you do see Sever the Bloodline take care of Olivia, and McNeely's not going to play the Arbor Elf because, again, he has no reason to play the Arbor Elf.
Exactly.
It doesn't change the clock any. He can just stay put and hold that in case Nguyen does draw an additional Supreme Verdict, which it looks like he may have in his hand right now. He's taking a look at his graveyard, I think. Yep. So I'm not sure if there's any coming back here for Nguyen. Is he just going to pass the turn back?
Well, he has his own Angel of Serenity, so he can start. You know, if Aaron starts Angel of Serenity looping the Thragtusks, I guess ideally George would play an Olivia and just protect it over and over. You know, if he can get an unanswered Olivia down, that will be enough.
So we're going to start the turn with a Grizzly Salvage here from McNeely. 5 cards are Forest, an Angel of Serenity, and a Burial Rites, a Restoration Angel, and an Acidic Slime.
The problem is that the Reanimator deck is better at finding its threats faster and just, you know, playing more threats.
Yeah. Probably, one of the top 5 Grizzly Salvages I've ever seen. As Restoration Angel's going to go to hand. The rest of the cards are going to go to the bin. And we are going to see a lethal attack here.
Alright, so daring on George to have an answer. He's got the Harvest Pyre. And that's going to have to go at Thragtusk. It'll put him down to 1.
Yep.
He's going to have to exile beforehand. 1, 2.
And what will be number 3?
Another land.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Thanks, Acidic Slime.
It's going to get Restoration Angeled. And yep, this is pretty rough for George.
Yeah, as McNeely's going to move up to 34 now. Put a Beast Token into play. All the shenanigans that we're used to here with Restoration Angel and Thragtusk. But the important thing here is that if Nguyen was to draw a Supreme Verdict, because he is at 1, Thragtusk will leave behind a Beast Token, and that Beast Token that's left behind will actually kill Nguyen on the next turn. So, don't know if there's any windows for him to climb through, and I think he realizes that there aren't. So Aaron McNeely is going to be up the first game here against George's Nguyen.
Right. So looking at sideboards, I want to point out one card that George has been using to fight against control. He has a 2 Crypt Incursion in his sideboard.
All right.
So, yeah, which is actually an interesting weapon against the Reanimator deck. For those of you who don't know, Crypt Incursion, we'll have it on the screen for a second, is a common that exiles all creature cards in a player's graveyard, and then you'll gain 3 life for each creature card exiled this way.
I believe that card costs, it's either 3 or 4 mana. Okay, 3 mana. And it's an instant, so that's certainly relevant.
Right.
This is from Dragon's Maze. It's certainly not it's not the most ideal answer against Chunk Reanimator, but it is an answer, and that's important.
Right, and I think the life points are not, George, at least the fact he's playing this as opposed to a Cremate or something, or some other Rest in Peace, makes me think that he thinks the life gain is particularly relevant in this match.
Sure.
You know, that's the advantage this has over any of the other options. He also has access, he can slaughter games. I'm not sure that that's a great idea for him. He does have turn burns in his sideboard, which those are pretty decent against Thragtusks.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know if his sideboard is particularly... I think Crypt Incursion is really the trump he's looking for in the matchup.
I mean, the difficult question, right, with the slaughter games that you brought up is, and this is the question that you have to ask yourself a lot when you're playing against Junk Reanimators, what am I going to name?
Yeah, is the card good enough? And not just like, what am I going to name? Because you can find out something good to name, but is naming this card good enough to justify a card in my hand plus an entire turn?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because slaughter games is your whole turn to do. So usually whatever you name has to be pretty good.
You know, oftentimes when you see an effect like that, and we've seen many over the course of Magic, be it Thought Hemorrhage, Memoricide, Cranial Extraction, when you're sideboarding in a card like that, it has to be like, if you're going to, as you said, dedicate your entire turn to doing that, it has to be backbreaking. Mm-hmm. And if he is to name Thragtusk and then lose to Angel of Serenity, or name on Burial Rites and then just lose to Thragtusk and friends, then that was not backbreaking at all.
Like, let's pretend you had access to your opponent's deck list before game 1. If that was true, would you main deck slaughter games in your deck just for value? And like, you have to remember, the answer to that question is no.
Yep, I agree.
And I think, it has to be good enough, you know, for example, slaughter games in Sphinx's Revelation out of Esper Control. That's probably worth a card.
Yeah.
Their deck, that's how their deck wins games. It's very hard for them to win without it. But, slaughtering, Thragtusks out of Junk, I don't know. That's something to me that's like not high enough impact.
Yeah, I agree. It's as you said, especially because you're taking a turn off to do that.
Yeah,
you're not adding to your board at all. You're not pressuring your opponent, and unless they're unfortunate, they have like 3 Thragtusks in their hand, and then you just ruin them. But even then, it doesn't mean it's a guaranteed victory.
The one card I would like to slaughter out of Reanimator would be, you might have to board it in for Angel of Serenity. If you're actually just trying to go very late against Reanimator, like Reanimator's best late game strategy is Angels exiling Angels. Sometimes so I could see an argument for Slaughter Games in Angel of Serenity, and then like maybe playing your own Angels and hoping that you have the better late game.
Sure.
That's something that might be worth a card, but even so, I'm not positive that's good enough to do.
I mean, at this point, if I'm Nguyen, I might even just Slaughter Games Acidic Slime. I don't want any part of that with my 4-color mana base.
I mean, right, and then that's the thing, you could slaughter Angel, and then he might slime you to death.
Yeah. You just slaughter Acidic Slime, you blinks it, unbarrel writes it, all that nonsense, and then you're just in arguably a worse situation than you thought you'd be in to start. So we do see both players shuffling up here. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips with Matthias Hunt. We are in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL for your tweets. You guys can join us on Twitter. We are in round 7 of 10 here. Aaron McNeely playing Junk Reanimator. Georgia Swin playing 4-color control. Having a blast so far. Junk Reanimator has been kind of dominating today with Jund right behind it, something that we're getting pretty used to, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, well, right now, remember, both these players actually have a loss, so this is kind of an elimination match for them. The winner will still have some work left to go to reach the top 8, but no surprise to see yet another Reanimator deck pushing on the top 8.
Yeah, not at all. And I obviously we try to vary up the decks that we see and all that good stuff. But I mean, truth be told, there's no dodging Reanimator when you're doing coverage nowadays.
No, I would say at this point, it's become the deck. If you're going to show up to a tournament, you really need to show up with a game plan for this deck.
Yeah. And over the last couple of months, you've just seen. The one thing about this deck is, it's certainly not impressive at all.
No.
I mean, it's not like Affinity in 2004 or 5, where it's just like, oh, come on with this. Or Cawblade like a couple of years ago.
Right, when you compare it to like Blue-White Delver, or Cawblade before that, or Jund before that, I would say like, this is a fairly tame best deck of the format.
Yeah, I agree.
You can still play other things, and you can beat this deck. It's fine. It's not, it has bad matchups.
Yeah. And it has cards that are good against it too, so people just haven't found the correct pieces to the puzzle to consistently beat it, even though some feel that Jund might be the answer to that puzzle.
So Nguyen's deck looks like he has 2 blue-white lands, no other lands. He does have a Boros Reckoner. I don't know, debating whether he's going to keep it. It's missing a lot, depending on how confident he is in his mana base. It looks like he has a Dreadbore in his hand, for example, which off 2 blue-white lands isn't really a card. It already feels like a 6-card hand in a lot of ways. Now, remember, he's playing no mana fixing. He's not playing any Lanterns or Prophetic Prisms. It's actually just dual lands.
Just all in. Just all of the dual lands in the world, as we're going to see him send it back along with McNeely. So both players are going to go down to at least 6 here in this second game.
Right. So I want to look at, we've been talking about this as we've seen each Reanimator deck come by on the feature matches. What's the main deck, what main deck has Aaron chosen to go with? What level, how evolved, I guess, is his Reanimator deck?
I guess we can say he's on next level Reanimator,
okay.
For lack of a better term. I mean, he is very much in the school of thought of Brian Bronduin and Chris Van Meter. Again, with the 2 Sin Collectors, with the 2 copies of Fiend Hunters. He has 7 mana accelerants, where I know Bronduin and Van Meter are a big fan of 8. But I feel like he may have cut one of the mana accelerants to be able to fit in his main deck, Sever the Bloodline. He also has, of course, 4 Unbarrel Rights, 4 Grizzly Salvage, 3 Mulches, and then his heavy hitters in 4 Thrax Husks, 3 Angel Serenity, 3 Acidic Slimes, and 4 Restoration Angels.
Importantly, 0 Lingering Souls, 0 Crater Hoof Behemoth.
Correct. Strayed far away from that strategy. Nowhere near that. And then, none of the other
that's including the
3-drops.
sideboard, right?
Yeah. I mean, none of that stuff there at all either. And then he strayed away from the 3-drops. You don't see like a Centaur Healer or a Loxodon Smiter.
Right.
Any of those big roadblocks that we saw, a couple months ago. Those things aren't here now. Which doesn't really come as much as a surprise anymore. You take a look at his sideboard, because that's one thing we didn't really address.
Right.
He has 2 Abrupt Decays and a 4th Acidic Slime, which you best believe came in.
I would think so.
2 Deathrite Shamans, 2 Garruk Relentless, 2 Obsidian Ghost Council, an additional Sever the Bloodline, an additional Sin Collector, and 4 Deer Antlers in Voice of Resurgence.
Right, so in this matchup, I would probably be boarding in Voice of Resurgence and Sin Collectors and the Acidic Slime. Interestingly enough, the Voice of Resurgence is not that good in this matchup. A lot of George's control cards are sorcery speed. He's playing Dreadbore, he's playing Faithless Looting, he's playing Supreme Verdict, he's playing Rakdos' Return, and Unburial Rights. So there actually aren't that many instants, but Sin Collector seems excellent here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, my guess is that Aaron brings in the voices nonetheless, just because in the dark, this feels like a deck you're supposed to play Voice of Resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, he saw Forbidden Alchemy, so he can think that maybe,
exactly.
Maybe Nguyen is just splashing for, something, and he has a lot more instants than I think.
The bigger thing is that because George has no counter magic, main or sideboard, well, yeah, sorry, he has one negate in the sideboard. That's all. One negate and a dispel on the sideboard, but those don't even come in here. George can play around Voice of Resurgence pretty easily just by main. He doesn't lose much by main facing all his cards.
Yep. All right, so Cavernous Souls here. So McNeely definitely having some mana troubles.
Good
There's
name.
no green mana right now.
Right. Questions if you would want to name. He looks like he has some Unburial Rights, an Angel of Serenity. He has a Sin Collector in his hand, but he needs to top deck a lot of land.
Yeah. I mean, he has no green land for a Mulch or a Grizzly Salvage. Heck, even an Avacyn's Pilgrim or an Arbor Elf. He has none of those things.
I don't know if he has a Mulch or Grizzly Salvage on top of that.
Yeah. So a pretty rough mulligan so far for McNeely. As Nguyen's going to untap, he's going to draw a card. He's going to play a Godless Shrine and pass back.
Nguyen's hand has the opposite weakness. It has at least 2 more lands in it and a Dreadbore. So he's kind of, yeah, he has the other problem where he just has a bunch of some removal and land, and I think that might be it for him. So.
Can't capitalize.
No, typically I would say most days of the week mana screw beats mana flood, because as soon as Aaron draws a land, his whole hand's turned on, whereas George needs like 4 draws to make his hand good.
So here's Sin Collector. It's going to reveal the goods of a Glacial Fortress, a Slaughter Games, a Dreadbore, an Olivia Voldaren, and a Dragon Skull Summit. So what we're going to see is likely Olivia next turn, although there is the potential for a Slaughter Games next turn.
I mean, I don't even know what I'm naming with Slaughter Games.
Yeah, I mean, that's the situation with the card, right? Like, when you're in this situation, what do you name?
And, well, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Aaron has decided he fears a Slaughter Games more than a Dreadbore. I don't really understand that either, but sure. I mean, obviously he really wishes he could take the Olivia, but
yeah, of course.
That's not can't do that one.
I think he just kind of feels like, he has multiple copies of Angel of Serenity in his hand. Those are probably going to be game-winning cards if he's ever able to get to that point.
So he just doesn't want George to get lucky and not get lucky, but he doesn't want George to hit the right card.
Yeah, and he does have a Mulch in his hand as well, just missing the green source as he draws another Sin Collector. So, his thought pattern might just be, I need these Angel of Serenity to win, and I'm probably going to be able to get there at some point, as there goes your Dreadbore.
Yep. So the question is, now, does he have a Fiend Hunter in hand?
I do not believe that is the case.
All right, so all Aaron needs to do is answer this Olivia, but that's no short task.
So here comes the Dragon Skull Summit that both players know about. Here comes Olivia.
Kill them both. Yep.
I think it might be time for a little ping.
Yep. Kill them both, take 5.
Yep.
Olivia should be able to get this by herself. Or at least that's the hope for George.
Yeah. I mean, if anything can do it, it would be Olivia Voldaren, trust me. As McNeely's going to untap, he's going to draw. Is it a land? It is. It is.
It's a green land.
It's an isolated chaplain.
Okay. So that Mulch in his hand still, all he has is Mulch. He can Unburial Rights the Sin Collector. There's he's kind of lacking in, like I said, his opening hand was very weak. Granted, he was on 6. I imagine he just saw lands and spells and decided to go with it.
Yeah, and he was on the draw too. So
right.
He may have kept an opener based off of Mulch.
Right. He says, okay, I need to draw a green source.
And so here's Boros Reckoner to basically increase the clock. As this will be an attack. Yeah, I mean, assuming that George uses his Olivia correctly, that Boros Reckoner should increase the clock enough that it will end the game on the next turn. As Olivia can shoot the Reckoner twice, it can grow twice, but additionally the Reckoner's damage, because it's been hit twice, Angry Minotaur Wizard deals that damage over to McNeely, and McNeely's going to concede the game.
All right, so going under game 3, we, not too much of a matchup win there. I would say Aaron kept a hand with a pretty big risk on it, and it didn't pay off. So. Still, though, when both decks are firing on all cylinders right now, it seems like Aaron has the advantage.
I would agree. I would agree overall. I mean, and when you say firing on cylinders, on all cylinders, excuse me.
Or maybe just half of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about like acidic sliming him into oblivion. Among all the other things that he can do, Sin Collectoring, Fiend Huntering, ABC, XYZ. We've seen it all with Junk Reanimator. There's nothing it can't do. It slices. It dices.
Ugh.
So both players are going to shuffle up here for game number 3. McNeely looks happy with his current configuration, basically thinking to himself, I think, of, all I just need to do is just draw lands and spells, and I'm just going to
as long as I
get
get yeah, he hasn't seen too much to be worried about from George's deck.
Yeah, I mean, he sees a Boros Reckoner, he sees an Olivia Voldaren, like Forbidden Alchemy, a couple removal spells,
Right.
and he has to be thinking to himself, I have no problem beating these things.
What I do like about George's deck is it's the first deck I've seen in a while that's running 4 Forbidden Alchemies.
Yeah. I remember when that card was released and spoiled.
Yeah, it was very good, and
Yeah.
it really fell out of favor, didn't it?
Yeah, it's just kind of strange it didn't ever really have much of a home, and just absolutely, it's not even like it's bad. It just wasn't. I don't think it's as good as people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, both it and Desperate Ravings really fell out of favor, I'd say, recently.
Ravens especially. I remember, Pat Shape and Jerry Thompson were really backing that card heavily. It's just one of the best draw spells, and potentially the best draw spell in the format. And it did see a little bit of, prime time, but it never really broke through.
Yeah, it might be that there's no red-blue deck that people really like to play. There's a there's red-blue-white Flash, I suppose. But
or you could be like me, and I'm completely apprehensive about discarding cards at random.
You just the negative's too high.
I have no control.
Right.
I just have no control, man.
I never understand that one very much because it's not like you have control over what card you're drawing either.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say I was rational.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just have no control.
It feels worse because you get to see yourself discard one of those cards. You get to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But, it's not actually any different.
Why did I cast this stupid Desperate Ravings? Why?
I mean, you have the option. That's the cool part. Sometimes you have the option to not cast it.
I know. And sometimes you'll just discard the card that doesn't matter. But when you discard the card that does matter, ooh boy, that sends me off the rails. It's completely irrational, and I love it. See, for some reason, it doesn't feel so bad when I actually play the card Gamble, and I discard the card I'm supposed to.
Usually when you gamble, you're cheating, though. You're like gambling with life from the loam or something.
Yeah. Or like sometimes when you gamble in Cube, and you gamble and like you discard the card, I don't feel as bad because the card is called Gamble.
You're just like, well, I suppose I shouldn't gamble.
Yeah.
Like,
the card is called Gamble, so I feel like I know what I'm signing up for. But Desperate Ravings, I get to draw 2.
Yeah.
And then I just discard a card at random. Who
cares?
You
mean you play Desperate Ravings thinking this is a card advantage spell, and you're like, why'd I discard the one I wanted? This wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, this is a card disadvantage spell. My opponent wins now. You'll never see me sleeve that card up. That's for sure. No sirree. Only bonfires for me.
What about a deck like Modern Storm, where having things in your graveyard is actively good? If you're playing Pyromancer.
Not my cup of tea.
You wouldn't even play it there in a deck where it's okay to put the card in the graveyard too.
They would have to ban Karn Liberated before I played Modern Storm. And,
okay.
Yeah, for you guys at Wizard of the Coast who are watching, yeah, don't do that, because then I just won't play anymore. So don't do that. Thanks. So both players taking a look at their 7 cards here. Again, McNeely on the left, he's going to be on the play here with Junk Reanimator. See if he can find a decent 7, as both players did take a mulligan last game. Looks like he's got a couple of lands. He has an acidic slime, like an Angel Serenity or 2. And the question, of course, is does he have like a Grizzly Salvager and Mulch to be able to hit his land drops? Has an Obsidian over there too. His hand doesn't look bad.
We're looking at Aaron's hand?
Yeah, his hand feels like it's right on the cusp because he has 3 lands.
Seems like a lot of land.
Yeah, he has 3 lands, but he also has like an Acidic Slime, an Obsidian in his hand, I believe.
And an Angel.
And an Angel.
So just to be playing land go for a long time?
Yeah, but it's like...
That seems fine to me.
That seems fine to me too because George's deck doesn't like punish you for playing land go.
Spells.
Yeah. It doesn't punish you at all for playing this slow, drawn-out game.
But Aaron doesn't know that, but he's decided to keep it anyway.
Yeah. And you saw him reach for his deck, so it looked like he was considering mulliganing.
Absolutely. I mean, if I thought George was actually playing counterspells, that hand's atrocious.
Yeah. So here's a Woodland Cemetery, and McNeely passes the turn back. As George just has a Sulphur Falls, follows up with a Godless Shrine.
And, Aaron's got to just be sighing like, okay, another land, great.
Hey, he can cast all of his big cards now. And I think that's way more important. And one of his lands is Cavernous Souls, too. As here's a Boros Reckoner, and McNeely gives it a thumbs up, draws a card, and draws a flip card, I believe.
Garruk Relentless?
Yep, Garruk Relentless.
May just be a kill spell for Reckoner.
Yep. Fight that.
And 3 damage. He does still get to assign 3 damage somewhere, so Aaron goes to 17.
And, that's an expensive removal spell, but, I mean, it gets Reckoner off the table.
It's interesting because it is expensive, so typically you wouldn't like to play, but in this matchup, the cost of cards here is actually pretty irrelevant.
Yeah. Because it's so long and drawn out.
Well, it's like if he had a 2-mana spell, he would have killed it with 2 mana and then not used the other 2. So
Sure.
it might as well have cost 4.
Here's Cavernous Souls. What do you think that's naming?
I would say Ooze. Once again, it's the best. It's got to be his best card in the matchup.
I think far and away his best card in the matchup is Acidic Slime.
Yeah, it's just a time walk every time you cast it.
Yeah. The time walk that you can't kill either.
Yeah, and you can because then you might Unburial Rights it.
Yeah, because you face like the ultimate punishment if you kill it. So as we do sleeve up that cavern with something here, 5 mana coming in, and he's gonna go with Spirit. Okay, so he wants to establish Obsidian Ghost Council, and I guess his thought is, I don't think that you can actually beat this with your what I have seen is mostly sorcery speed removal deck. So I don't think
he can beat it. Now I'm looking at his list. I mean, his best answer is Obsidian.
Of his own.
Yes.
Which he has 2 copies of.
Right. If he plays his own Obsidian, that's probably the best answer he has.
Okay. I can dig it.
He has, in theory, Harvest Pyre. So I'm not very thrilled about that one.
So here's a Faithless Looting, Angel Serenity, and a
Forbidden Alchemy.
Forbidden Alchemy are the cards that are drawn. So maybe he's trying to set himself up with an Unburial Rights, and he is.
Rights and Angel.
McNeely shrugs his shoulders and says, that's fine. Here's your land that's going to come into play on tap. That's an Isolated Chapel.
Yeah. Despite the fact that George has a really greedy mana base for a lot of powerful cards, it still feels like his cards just don't match up correctly right now. He's going to Unburial Rights the Boros Reckoner.
That one's a little bit surprising.
I would agree. It doesn't just because it doesn't match up very well against Obsidian.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna bring something back, like I feel like you just have to bring back your best card and try to race this Obsidian.
Just bring back a 5/6 to block the 5/5.
Yeah, especially because Angel of Serenity bricks the Obsidian on the first turn that it comes back. And now by tapping out and putting your shields down, now you're opening yourself up to getting Acidic Slimed, which again he doesn't have counter magic, but he doesn't know that.
Right. Alright, so we do see a slime. He'll take out the Godless Shrine.
So that's going to go to the bin, of course. I mean, we might see Ghost Council just come in.
I think he takes out Godless Shrine because he's increasing the chances of that he'll make George's lands come into play tapped.
Yeah, I think like if he blinks Acidic Slime or Unburial Rights it or whatever, the next one he's probably going to take out a Steam Vents.
Right.
Yeah, just to make it so if you're going to play it on tap land, it's going to have to come into play and you're going to have to pay 2 life for it.
Right.
Or it's going to come into play tapped. So here's a Glacial Fortress.
There is another Unburial Rights in George's hand.
Okay.
Which is helpful to know. The bigger issue George has is how is he going to race this Obsidian?
Good question. It's looming in a big way. Here's 4 mana. So here's Slaughter Games.
All right, now I don't know what you name here. Restoration Angel?
You either name like. Yeah, it's like Restoration Angel.
I mean, the correct answer was Angel of Serenity, which he didn't take.
Yeah, it's Restoration Angel. It's like Angel Serenity. It's Acidic Slime.
Thragtusk. This is exactly why I don't like. I think Slaughter Games is played wrong with a lot of the time.
Yeah, I just don't think that Slaughter Games is good against this deck because it just has many different angles of attack.
He even boarded one out. So let's take a look at here. Our options were Slaughter Game the 3 Thragtusks in your deck, and the other option was Unburial Rights and Angel of Serenity. Those aren't even close.
Yeah, I agree. And again, this is part of the reason that, I think this is a trap that people fall into with Slaughter Games quite a bit. Is if you're gonna play Slaughter Games again, it has to be unbelievably good when you cast it. What did that Slaughter Games accomplish on this turn?
I don't know. Maybe if Aaron were to draw a Thragtusk and now instead he's gonna draw a different card.
Yeah.
That's actually what it accomplished.
Yeah.
That's a very marginal effect, and it took your whole turn.
So Ghost Council is going to come back in. McNeely's going to move up to 23. Nguyen's going to move down to 12. Oh, he's going to move down to 14. Okay. He draws a force for the turn, so he's getting even closer to Angel Serenity now. Has a Grizzly Salvage in his hand, too. Which I think is that's how he's going to start his turn. Because right now he's looking for either Restoration Angel, or maybe he hits Perfect and has an Unburial Rights
and a target. So another Acidic Slime, and that's got to be what he takes. There is a Sin Collector, and that's pretty good here. And he might take it just because he can cast it this turn. Mm-hmm. And he is. Though it's pretty much a wash between whether it or Acidic Slime is better.
Yeah. I mean, the 6th time he can't cast this turn, Sin Collector he can cast this turn.
Right.
So, you know, there's that. Yeah, the thing he can do is he can cast Sin Collector, take a look, figure out what's going on over there, and then can play his Mana Dork in his hand. I think it's an Arbor Elf, but it might be a Pilgrim.
So that's the Crypt Incursion right there. Is that if you see the card you don't recognize. Forbidden Alchemy, Unburial Rites, Crypt Incursion, and Angel of Serenity.
Yeah, and the big thing here is that he's actually able to just take Unburial Rites, and it's removed from the game. That's the big deal.
Yep, he took.
So
right.
he leaves Nguyen with a Crypt Incursion. That doesn't really have a huge impact on the game. A Forbidden Alchemy and Angel of Serenity that he's 2 turns away from.
Yeah, so by taking Unburial Rites, he's essentially out-resourcing George at this point.
Yep.
He's not going to play a graveyard game. You know, it's not going to be a synergy matchup. We're both just going to cast stuff, and Aaron's going to cast more. Yeah. That's his game plan. It's pretty simple and pretty effective, too.
Yeah. He's going to cast more, and he's going to cast better cards.
Right.
So Nguyen draws a card. It is a mystery to everyone but him.
I mean, this is a situation where he may ideally want to draw another Slaughter Games. It's like the only situation where I feel that way about it, but, you know, Slaughter Games and an Angel of Serenity would be pretty good right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one.
Just because you know there are 2 in his hand, and it's going to wreck you if he casts 1.
Yeah. He's
going to take away your blocker. He's going to rebuy his own Acidic Slime. Everything's going to be bad. He's going to steal your lunch money.
So right. Obsidian comes back in, 25-12.
Yeah. So actually, with Obsidian back in play, I mean, his swing here is for 9 if he gets the Angel in.
You mean when he gets
when he gets it, right? Because there are no counter spells.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. It's going to resolve.
That's an Angel Serenity.
Boros Reckoner, Slime, and I think no 3rd target.
Yeah, and what likely is going to happen is going to probably, I would assume that we might see the trigger pulled here on a Crypt Incursion to just kind of break up a piece of this Angel of Serenity.
It's never going to be better.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side of things, he could let this happen and then cast a Forbidden Alchemy digging for something, but again, what is he digging for to get himself out of this situation?
You know, and that's really the good question. His creature base, if you look at George's creature base, is Augur, Bolus, Olivia, Obsidat, Angel, Reckoner, and a Blood Baron. And, you know, none of those really help very much. So he did not pull the Crypt, did not Crypt Incursion, so he must be playing the Alchemy here. Probably into Supreme Verdict is what he's looking for.
So to attack here for 9, Ghost Council's going to fade out.
Yeah, that Supreme Verdict play is not even going to work because Ghost Council will just kill him if he verdicts.
Yeah. Obsidian the Unbeatable is what they should have called it.
I mean, it's hard to answer. It's on the Etherling level of difficulty to answer.
Here's a Forbidden Alchemy. You see a Boros Reckoner, a Sulphur Falls, an Augur of Bolas, and a mystery card.
And another land, I believe it is.
Well, I see your cards that are not helping in this situation.
Great. All right.
So I don't know what Nguyen can do to get himself back into the game.
Yeah, looking at his list, I mean, one of his late game steals is the Harvest Pyre Reckoner combo. Aaron's at 25 though. George never dealt any damage.
So Nguyen's going to draw a card for the turn. He draws a Sacred Foundry. So you see a couple of lands over there. Again, he's 2 turns away from Angel Serenity. And again, this really begs the question of if he would have cast Forbidden Alchemy in his main phase, he could have made his 6th land drop, and then would have drawn his 7th land to be able to cast Angel Serenity and maybe get himself back in. Probably not, because Ghost Council's looming, and blinking and draining and braining. But again, this was the 2nd time that we saw him not cast the main phase Forbidden Alchemy. And you got to remember,
instants don't have to be cast during the main phase. Sometimes there's a perfectly good reason to they're powerful because they have the option to be played whenever you want to. Which means you're supposed to take the best answer, not always just the unstepped one.